Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson talking about how they feel about Justin Trudeau resigning. Joe Rogan and Jordan Peterson have the same sentiment that this man is fake. Joe Rogan, I'm going to show you that clip first. Then I'm going to show you Jordan Peterson talking about it. And then we're going to explore the topic because Joe Rogan brings it up about Mexico and Canada, those places becoming states of the United States of America, which I think is a splendid idea. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Greenland and how Donald Trump Jr. was there with Charlie Kirk, which makes it very serious in my opinion. And then we're going to hear from Trump, and then we're going to hear from a couple of politicians from Canada, Pierre Poilievre, I don't know, sorry, butchering it. And then another guy, Jagmeet Singh. I also would like to say it was my anniversary a few days ago, and the wife got me another hat. I'm officially a dad. Just get me things that I already have. Let's go. Let's get into the Rogan clip first.
I ain't tell Mike Perry is a zebra if he wants to be, dude. But can you bring up people that are trying to be black and see, like by texturizing their skin? There's new things, Joe.
Well, I definitely think that people are taking pills. I've heard of that.
Yeah, darkening pills or whatever?
Yeah, there's some kind of medication that you can take. Maybe it's a peptide that darkens your skin. Maybe a peptide. But I've heard of it. It might even have some weird like melanin name, like melanolin or something like that. I don't remember though. But I do remember seeing it on an internet article where, you know, there's like how far are people going to like look different. And all the different that people are doing.
Dark Buddy or whatever they're calling it.
Dark Buddy?
Yeah, they call it Dark Buddy. And you just like take a couple pills of it.
Oh, you're thinking of Justin Trudeau doing blackface.
Dude, you know he just retired.
He's just retired, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, he's stepping down till they're going to have to find a replacement, and then he leaves.
I liked him better when he was black.
That was very brief, I think.
But still, dude, he was a vibe then. Bro, people have hammered on that guy so much. But did you see?
Rightly so, man. That guy's a creep.
He doesn't seem like he has
Seems like a communist.
any strength inside of him, of his own.
No.
And he almost seems like a character from a Charles Dickens novel. If you bring up his retirement speech from the other day.
Yeah. Well, it's fake. That's why.
He was like, oh, father.
It's fake. It's all fake. He's like a fake progressive. The whole thing's fake. That's why he was an authoritarian, and he kept cracking down on people's rights, and they all really saw it during that trucker protest, because that's when it was really in front of everybody's face where you couldn't ignore it. Here's this guy who is he's freezing bank accounts from the people that donated money to the truckers.
He is, though.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to this guy.
But he very much has a character from a Charles Dickens novel, doesn't he?
It's because it's performative.
Look, he looks AI, though. Look at him.
But if you go to see a movie about Charles Dickens, here's one thing when you ever go to see like an old-timey movie, everyone talks in a more elegant and sophisticated manner.
Hello.
Yeah, there's a difference to the way people talked in those like Dickens
I've got rubella, Dad.
Yeah.
Tommy has rubella.
You know why? Because it's fake, right? Like that's how people used to make movies back then.
Did people really talk like that back then?
No, people talk the way they talk.
Nuh-uh.
It's just people were just not. Well, they talked and they had different vernacular then than they do now. But people, when you're performing something was new. You have to think about this. If you go back and watch movies, like one of the things that's great about the fact that we produce so much content is that what it's done, the entire bank of all the content that people created since the beginning of television being started to the rock and roll boom of the 1960s to the internet to all these, you can see the way people communicate evolves and changes. And if you go back to the earliest representations of broadcast media in the country, everyone talks in a way that's not natural.
James J. Braddock like that.
Here we are.
Yep.
ABC News World Report. Hitler has moved into, it's like there's a way that they talk back then. And then if you go watch those movies, they talked fake in the movies.
Wow.
Like Marlon Brando was the first guy to not talk fake. And everybody's like, what is this guy doing? It's revolutionary. He seems like he's a real guy. Like no one even knew how to do that until Brando came along and did it.
Yeah.
And so then movies
good.
became, then you get a guy like a Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Where does he come from? He comes from this entire evolutionary tree of people figuring out what's the best way to pretend publicly. And the way that they would do it in the Charles Dickens movies was a primitive way. It's like when you're watching
Albert is sick, Dad.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was on the other day. It was like Christmas Around the House.
Oh yeah,
the old one, the claymation one.
Yeah.
When the snow is moving around,
Rudolph.
like the snowman.
Yeah.
It's goofy as f***. Santa looks goofy as f***. It's terrible the way people
there's
talk.
Santa.
It seems so fake, but that was a standard. It's like $6 Million Man was a good show. Okay, it was a good show.
Right.
That was the standard. The standard was terrible. Like we had a terrible standard for communication. That standard's changed over time. It's changed. So the people that are still doing it that way, it's glaringly obvious.
Right.
So what Justin Trudeau is doing, he's doing like a strip club DJ voice.
Yeah.
He's like Lexus to the main stage.
Yeah. Good
It's
evening,
an affectation.
Manitoba.
You don't know who that guy is. You're not getting any of him. That is a mask.
Yeah.
You're not getting any of him.
Well, he went to that Tragically Hit concert. Is that the band Tragically Hit or whatever? Huh? Tragically Hip, yeah. He went to that concert and wore a jean jacket and everybody thought he was like a vibe, and I think that's how he won that election or whatever.
Wow.
And,
that's hilarious.
And then
he's good looking, he's tall, and he's charismatic. He's figured out a way to bull. In the beginning, before he had any power, it worked.
Yeah.
Because he sounded like a sensible guy. But people get revealed when they face pressure. And when he faced pressure during that trucker thing, then he showed his true cards.
Do you think that they'll take Canada in to be the 50s first or second state, whichever one it is?
I think, this is what I think. I think we take Canada and then we go right into Mexico.
Let's go. Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I said. I tweeted that today.
You did?
I tweeted that
I didn't
today.
see that.
We should let Mexico too.
I want to be
Everybody
Mexican.
keeps sneaking over. How about we just let them stay here?
Yeah, huh?
Just like, how about we go into that? How about what I said? How about what he said? Like, instead of trying to like let all the bad stuff in, how about we make this like totally lockdown safe and then expand safety, expand it. But you got to do it without stripping people of their rights.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But also, there's
Big
some
problem.
Like Poland doesn't let anybody enter out of their country. Is that right?
They don't fuck around, dude.
Poland doesn't.
They don't fuck around
And that's why. Like, why don't some countries like? Well, I guess America is kind of this. It's kind of a halfway house of like ideals over the years. It feels like, I always thought there was this like idea of this is an American, this is what we do. It's kind of like how you were brought up, like with the Pledge of Allegiance, civics class, all that type of stuff. Like this is what it means, like forward tough type vibes, Yeah. But then everything kind of changes over time, and now I feel like we don't know what America is, and I think that's the part that seems super scary to people sometimes.
Well, that's the part that's easy to manipulate, right? So in this moment of chaos that we're talking about, I don't know what America is anymore. That's when you get all these activist groups that are not real. That's when you get this discourse online. That's when you get people attacking. And you get real people that get caught up in it too. And they're getting you caught up in it as well, because all these people, like, people are super addicted to arguing with stuff online. And I see like otherwise very reasonable people that are on Twitter 12 hours a day, and I just don't understand what the is wrong with you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, very reasonable, successful people. Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, some people tweet all day. Elon tweets all day.
All day.
But
all day.
It must be an addiction, right? At this point, I mean, there's
It
no
has
way.
to be.
If it's
Yeah, Elon is straight addicted. Jordan Peterson's addicted too, but he has little flashes of it where all of a sudden he just stops posting and all of a sudden it becomes quotes. And I'm like, oh, somebody took over his account. Because like Jordan Peterson's not going to quote himself. You know what I mean? Like, why would Jordan Peterson quote? Watch Jordan Peterson's account. It was getting out of control at some points. Sometimes you'd be like, oh, it's 4:30 in the morning. Like, you could go back and look at his tweets and you'd be like, whoa, this guy's posting at 3:30 in the morning, 4:30, 5:30. You're like, what happened? Did he go to sleep? Anyway, Justin Trudeau. Listen, Joe Rogan didn't want to see it, which I understand completely. I don't want to see it either, but I have to show it to you guys. But Jordan Peterson does lay into what Justin Trudeau says in the resignation speech. So I do want to show you guys that, just so you can understand when I go to the next clip of Jordan Peterson speaking what he is referring to. Let's get into it.
My friends, as you all know, I'm a fighter. Every bone in my body has always told me to fight because I care deeply about Canadians. I care deeply about this country, and I will always be motivated by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And the fact is, despite best efforts to work through it, Parliament has been paralyzed for months after what has been the longest session of a minority parliament in Canadian history. That's why this morning I advised the Governor General that we need a new session of Parliament. She has granted this request, and the House will now be prorogued until March 24th. Over the holidays, I've also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement. So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Theo Von hit it right on the head. He's like a character, what do you say, Charles Dickinson? That's exactly what it's like. It's so weird. I'm a fighter. Everyone knows I'm a fighter, and I fight with every bone in my body. So I'm telling you about this decision today over a talk with my family. It's like, bro, just be a real person. Be a real person. He's terrible. He's the worst. He's the worst. He's so Gavin Newsom, man. He's so Gavin Newsom. Oh my gosh. Oh, imagine a country, imagine a state as big as Canada ran by Gavin Newsom. That's exactly what you're seeing, which is why it's fallen apart the way it is. Let's get into Jordan Peterson and what he thinks about all this. He tells Piers Morgan a whole lot. Let's go.
I watched his resignation speech this morning and I thought, you know, I've never heard Justin Trudeau say a true word in his entire life. I'm a pretty astute clinician, and I can, if I pay attention, I can tell the difference between someone who's, you know, merely wrong and trying his best and someone who just lies with every single breath. And he is definitely a person like that. Everything he does is an act. And his resignation speech was an act. You could tell because today he started out with the words, well, everyone knows that I'm a fighter and I don't give up. And I mean, Pierce, I don't know about you, but I can't imagine myself ever saying something like that in public. Who would say that?
I know.
I'm a fighter.
Especially as you're giving up.
Really?
Especially as you're literally giving up.
Well,
it's like, I quit,
yeah,
but I'm
well,
not a quitter.
You know,
yes, you are. You're literally quitting in front of our eyes.
Yeah. Well, and it's also the case that you saw in that opening salvo exactly his preoccupation with himself.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all a drama about Justin Trudeau as far as Justin Trudeau is concerned. You all know I'm a fighter. It's like, actually, Justin, at the moment, we don't give a damn if you're a fighter. Actually, we don't give a damn about you, period. This isn't about you. It's about the fact that over 9 years, you have moved Canadians from parity in terms of per capita GDP. We were equal to the Americans 9 years ago, equal. And now we're at 60%, which is also, by the way, the case for you guys in the UK. And that's 100% attributable to Justin Trudeau and his like nightmarish, woke, leftist, weak policies. And it's exactly the same cabal of self-serving narcissists that have been in power so often in the UK and that are responsible for the clamorous silence surrounding these sadistic rape gangs. And I'm so glad he's gone. He was a curse. My country is in worse shape by far than I've ever seen it in my entire life.
100%. Worse shape than he's ever seen it. And that's coming from a guy that's, you know, I'm not going to say he's super old, but he is old. He is old enough to remember what it was like before Justin Trudeau, which a lot of people can't. I remember Joe Rogan talking about Justin Trudeau and Joe Rogan being really happy about the guy, you know, just being like, man, the guy's young. Everybody was really happy about the guy. And then all of a sudden it's like he took over and it was just terrible. It was he's like a mixture of Gavin Newsom and Hunter Biden because he had this legacy. It's like if you got Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden looks all right, has a good head of hair on him, I'm sure he could just talk to a crowd if he had to, and then all of a sudden you get him in office and you're like, oh my, what's happening? Where are all these baggies coming from? But instead of baggies, it was just pictures of Justin Trudeau in blackface. And he gave a speech. He's like, I don't know how many times I've done it. I'm not sure. In this world of performing, sometimes you put on blackface to appease the black community. They have to know that you know what it's like to be inside of their skin, which is why I did brown face as well. That year I was Aladdin. That's Justin Trudeau 24/7. And the guy doesn't stop being fake. This is like one of the faker, more hilarious moments with Justin Trudeau. This lady walks right up to him.
Mr. Prime Minister. Yeah. Please get the f*** out of BC.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am.
Yeah, you suck.
Hold on, I think. Wait. Let me play it again because my mic was on. I should turn my mic off.
Mr. Prime Minister. Yeah. Please get the f*** out of BC.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am.
Yeah, you suck.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. He's trying to be polite, but it's always fakeness. It's always fake with this guy. You know? At least just be a person and be like, all right, get out of my face. Or be like, okay, lady, and walk away. But instead he's like, oh, thank you very much. Oh my gosh. People are so glad that he's gone. It's crazy. We got Jordan Peterson again talking with Brian Kilme. I think that's his name. That's how he pronounces it. I've heard him say it a bunch of times. I'm like, is that legit this guy's name? Brian Kilme? It's very odd. Let's get into that.
Resign. We thought about you. Is this a good thing for Canada?
Well, I hope it could be a great thing. It's at least the end of a disaster. I mean, that's something. It's something to be said for that. Right off the mark. Canada was at parity for per capita GDP with the U.S. 9 years ago when Trudeau took the helm, and now Canadians are at 60%, and our real estate is twice as expensive as it is in the U.S. And so that's a catastrophe. He's been a catastrophe. And so at least the catastrophe will be gone, and then there's reason for hope with regard to a new administration, which should likely be headed by Pierre Poilievre, who's the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada.
Who you've had a chance to speak to, just to look back at Justin Trudeau's career, and it's part of the reason you're in America now, and it's our gain and their loss. In 2015, he was unveiling Canada's first gender-balanced cabinet. Forget about qualifications. An ethics commission finds that Trudeau violated conflict of interest when he took a free vacation by mistake. 2019, images surface after he's condemning everyone else and being politically correct of his black face, his brown face, as well as his Indian headdress. 2022, I think the most egregious, he targeted protesters and took truckers' bank accounts and froze them. That was a bridge too far. But he's done some damage to the country in the long term, not just economically. I think he's really hurt the morale of the country you used to call your own.
There's no doubt about that. And I think you're right to point to his administration's freezing, not only of the truckers' bank accounts, but of people who dared to support the truckers on various social media platforms. Right. And no, it was the I don't think Canadians still understand how devastating that was to our international reputation. I've never heard Justin Trudeau utter a word that was true. He's false in every aspect of his performance and thought.
So your new Conservative candidate, likely, I hope, will be your next Prime Minister, it seems, is Pierre Poilievre. And you interviewed him. And here's the statement he put out after Donald Trump is kind of trolling you guys, saying, I'm going to make you the 51st state if you'll have us. Canada will never be the 51st state, he says. Our weak and pathetic Liberal government has failed to make these obvious points. When I am Prime Minister, we will rebuild our military, take back control of the border, secure both Canada and the U.S. In other words, we will put Canada first. I mean, that sounds so much like Donald Trump. I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump wrote it. Coincidence?
I don't think it's a coincidence at all, but I don't think it's a conscious attempt, let's say, to mimic Trump. I think that I know that Poilievre regards the United States as, well, an ally of paramount value, militarily and economically, that his hope is that Canada and the U.S. can have the best relationship internationally under his leadership that the two countries have ever had, which is obviously the appropriate thing to do, both for the U.S. and for Canada. Canada is the U.S.'s major trading partner, and the reverse is clearly true. Canada has a virtually unlimited supply of energy and resources. There's absolutely no reason that the new mega hope that America can boom can't be boom time for Canada and the U.S. jointly, and that's exactly what should happen.
I want to talk.
Man, honestly, I don't see. I could see the housing market getting better in Canada because it's atrocious. I can see a lot of things getting better, but I've seen Pierre give speeches talking about he doesn't want any deportations. He wants people to be coming in, and that still gives way for Canada to go the way of the UK, and that's no good. So I don't know how much I don't know how much better he's gonna make it. You know, maybe he's just not gonna just do these weird woke things that Trudeau was constantly doing. Maybe he'll become a little more, not donating money to all sorts of countries and nations that need it. You know, maybe that's what needs to happen for Canada. I'm not sure, but ever since I heard that speech of him talking about, stop the deportations, no deportations, I was like, nah, this guy. And also, he was a part of the World Economic Forum. He's not on the website, but there's been various videos of people using this website. I forget what it's called. I believe it's called it's like a time lapse or something or other, where you can actually look at a website from years ago. So you could look at, at whatever website, and you could go the year 2019, January 4th, and it will show you what the website looked like, that web page on that date. And when people do that, Pierre does show up on the World Economic Forum on the Young Global Leaders list. So there you have it. Wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. Again, this is just videos I've seen. Everything's possible in regards to editing, but that has been a speculation that's been made for a long time. I just think Canada just needs to just become part of the U.S. I think it'd be best for everybody, honestly. You know what Canadians get? They get, look at this guy on the screen. This guy was in office for 10, 12 years? That stops. He'd be out of there in 4, right? Because if people actually, maybe, never know, maybe you get voted back in, but he'd have 8 tops. So all of this craziness would have ended like 2-3 years ago, right? You get the First Amendment, you get the Second Amendment. A lot of people in America don't realize that Canada has nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. You get the First, Second Amendment. You get Donald Trump as your leader. What? Yeah, I know. You're like, where do I sign? You get Donald Trump as your leader. You know what this is really about? Why these guys keep saying? Let me just be honest. I'm going to play this clip in a second. The reason that these guys keep on saying, oh, that'll never happen, we don't want that to happen, because they'll be out of jobs. They'll be out of jobs. One guy doesn't want to run the country, be a prime minister, and have that knocked down to a governor. And also, why would he be the governor? Why would Trudeau be the governor? It's going to be a guy from Florida. It's going to be Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is going to go over there and run Canada. And it's going to flourish because of it. It's not even going to be some guy from Quebec who speaks French. It's not even going to be that. Anyway, let's just get to this clip. This is Justin Trudeau after he resigned, talking to, of course, Jen Psaki.
One of the challenges or the things the Democratic Party here in the United States has been grappling with post-election is this critique that they're out of touch with the public. And that's one of the critiques of the Liberal Party in Canada as well. You've obviously made a decision to resign. Are there any lessons that can be learned from your time and what you've experienced for people here in the United States, Democratic Party?
One of the things that progressives, whether they're Liberals or Democrats on either side of the border, need to remain focused on is cost of living and the economy. We're projected to have the fastest growing economy in the G7, even faster than the United States next year. These are things that we did because we made sure that there were fewer barriers for minorities and women and vulnerable people to participate in the workforce. That's an economic narrative. That's understanding that you do better when everyone has a chance to contribute fully. But you can easily turn that into a woke argument that says, oh, you're just, working for minorities and women and you're not taking care of the economy. Well, the capacity of the political right and, quite frankly, social media to gin up that kind of dynamic and fall into culture wars and divisions that actually don't stand up to the hard economic truth of the growth we've been able to create in Canada is part of the challenge we have. And that's part of the challenge we're facing as a world right now, where people are very much in a place where affordability, where reasonable answers, where medium and long-term policies aren't what they want to hear about. They want things to get better right away. And you do have people promising to make things better right away, which is very attractive sometimes, even if the ability to do that isn't always clear.
He was the one doing that. He's so Gavin Newsom. He was the one doing that. He was the one saying, we're going to make it better right away. He had 10 years and he made it worse. He made it tremendously worse. Let's hear from a real leader, Donald Trump, talking about this whole Canada thing.
But why are we supporting a country, 200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal. All of these other things, they should be a state. That's why I told Trudeau when he came down, I said, what would happen if we didn't do it? He said Canada would dissolve. Canada wouldn't be able to function. But why are we supporting?
I can't believe he actually said that. Canada would dissolve, sir. Please don't turn me into a state. Here's another little bit from Trump here.
Mr. President, if we were to work under the assumption that you're serious about making Canada 51st state of the United States, the leader of the Conservative Party in Canada said, under no circumstance will it ever be the 51st state.
Maybe he won't win, but maybe he will. I don't.
Points, you had suggested.
Listen, I don't care what he says.
But Sir, real fast, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But we're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have. We don't need anything. So why are we losing $200 billion a year and more to protect Canada? And I said that to, as I called him, Governor Trudeau. I said, listen, what would happen if we didn't subsidize you, if we didn't, because we give them a lot of money. We help them. As an example, we're buying icebreakers, and Canada wants to join us in the buying of icebreakers. I said, we don't really want to have a partner in the buying of icebreakers. We don't need a partner. But no right. Nope. No right. Here's what we have. We have a right not to help them with their financial difficulties because we owe $36 trillion too. We're going to start knocking it out pretty fast, but we're going to be able to do it because of energy and other things. But no right. No right. But why are we supporting a country, 200 billion plus a year? Our military is at their disposal.
So you heard that part in the first clip there. Donald Trump is not playing around. He's really looking at this as, because Donald Trump has said something before, and he's very, very right about this. He's brought up before how he's like a lot of what, after he got in office and he was looking at what's going on, he was like, a lot of what we're doing is by habit. He goes, the only reason we're doing it is because we've always done it. It's like a lot of the relationship with China. It was like, why is it still being considered a developing nation? Maybe that was true 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but it's not true today. So why are we still doing things the exact same way? And it's just out of habit. And he's right. And a lot of what's happening with Canada might be the same thing. And even, Pierre is starting to realize, the people think he's going to be the prime minister. He might. I don't know what's going to happen. They can play games. I mean, liberals play games, so you never know. But yeah, even he's starting to realize, why have things been going a certain way? It's because it's just out of habit. Trump's brought that up, and I'm going to play a little clip here just because we're going to talk about Greenland a little bit as we end the episode. J.D. Vance talking about Greenland, what that means for the United States.
The Panama Canal, are we using or considering use of military force in any of those situations?
No, look, we don't have to use military force, Shannon. The thing that people always ignore is we already have troops in Greenland. Mm-hmm. Greenland is really important for America strategically. It has a lot of great natural resources. My friend Donald Trump Jr. was there a couple days ago, and you know what they told him? They want to be empowered to develop. The people of Greenland want to be empowered to develop the resources there. We also need to make sure that Greenland is properly cared for from an American security perspective. And frankly, the current leadership, the Danish government, has not done a good enough job of securing Greenland. I think there actually is a real opportunity here for us to take leadership to protect America's security, to ensure that those incredible natural resources are developed. And that's what Donald Trump is good at. He's good at making deals, and I think there's a deal to be made in Greenland.
What's the deal with Greenland?
So, I heard that. And again, I heard that Donald Trump Jr. went out there. And here he is.
Nook, Greenland. This is the founder, 1721. That yellow house with the red top, that was his original spot. That's where he moved. This is where it all started out here. Just incredible scenery. Super cool stuff.
See, when I saw this, I was like, oh, well, Donald Trump Jr. is there. I'm like, he does a lot of stuff behind the scenes for Donald Trump. Of course, he was vital in the campaign, but then all of a sudden, you tell me Charlie Kirk was there with him? And I'm like, oh, they're taking Greenland. That's what's happening right now, obviously.
Okay, we're here in Greenland with Don Jr.
Everyone wants to be on TikTok.
What do you guys think of America?
Great.
Love America, and you love Trump?
Yes, of course.
The youth of Greenland, Don.
We're hearing a lot of it, guys. We're hearing a lot of it.
And you guys all watch TikTok, right?
Of course. I'll follow you.
Oh, thank you. Live from Greenland. Okay.
You guys all watch TikTok like it's his thing. But Charlie Kirk did and people don't talk about it enough. Tucker Carlson has really given him his flowers in this respect, but Charlie Kirk's going to run one day, and whatever he runs for, he's going to win. Whatever it is, whether it's governor, whether it's Senate, whether it's Congress, whatever it is, he's going to win. He did a massive service to Donald Trump's campaign. He converted young people at a rate that has never been seen before. The work that he put in, the events that he put together, it was paramount in Trump winning. I mean, more so than Trump being on Joe Rogan, for sure.
Guys, full thrust, take off, leaving Greenland. You'll see some high performance stuff.
We are aboard Trump Force One on a full thrust takeoff. Take a look, everybody.
Oh yeah. Ground speed.
Imagine it was a DEI person. It was just a girl who was just she's just a flight attendant 2 weeks ago. Don't worry, we're going to take off, guys. I don't really like your dad, but let's get going. What button do I press again? But here's Pierre talking a little bit about this whole thing. And again, low energy. My boy over here is low energy. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle Trump in negotiations.
So we will, you will have a friendly neighbor to the north, President Trump, but you will also be facing a free enterprise Canada that is open for business, that is going to be fighting for jobs and opportunity on this side of the border. That is the new reality. We will have a prime minister who puts Canada first.
All right. Well, if you don't have a relationship with him as of today, perhaps he sees this and one will get started.
I don't think so. Well, I shouldn't say that. Trump's very welcoming. Pierre is also very welcoming. I mean, he said you'll have a friendly neighbor. I mean, he said it like Ned Flanders. So it should be good. I mean, saying that they're open for business and everything, that's kind of how it's always been, but I guess that's new to him. He's kind of just saying things. I really think that these guys, and again, I'll say it, Trudeau, Pierre, this guy on the screen. They just don't want to be out of a job. Because honestly, why would the Senate, why would Congress, why would they need all these guys? They would become state-level government, and none of these guys want that.
I have a message for Donald Trump. Our country's not for sale. Not now, not ever. I lived across this country, and I can tell you, Canadians are a proud people. We're proud of our country, and we're ready to fight like hell to defend it. Right now, with the forest fires ravaging homes, Canadian firefighters showed up. That's who we are. We show up and support our neighbors. But if Donald Trump if you think you can pick a fight with us, there'll be a price to pay. I've committed that if Donald Trump imposes tariffs on us, we should respond with retaliatory tariffs in kind. I think that anyone running as prime minister should do the same.
Yeah, he's talking about cutting off precious minerals. That's what he wants to do to Donald Trump. Buddy, you're not ready. Trump is definitely going to see this video and he's going to be like, Canada, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who this guy is, but we will send him back to whatever country he came from. I don't know what's going on here. I've never seen this guy before. Doesn't look like Trudeau. Is this Trudeau in brown face? Is that what's happening? Does Trudeau do this? He does brown face, puts on beards. I don't know who this guy is. We'll send him back. If it's China, then it's China. If it's somewhere else, it's somewhere else. You don't have to put up with this, Canada. I don't know who this guy is. Let's make Canada great again. Let me tell you something. Working on my Trump impression. Yeah, this is just a silly video that these guys are making. They're saying that they're going to fight for Canada. They're trying to, this guy's suggesting that they get into some kind of cold economic war with the United States. And then like any leftist regime, they're like, oh, and we're doing it for you. We're doing it for you. We're making enemies. We're making things unfriendly with America for you. It's all for you guys. It's all for them, man. They don't want to be out of jobs. They'll get dropped. Also, this guy's about to retire. He has a pension coming up. Like, this guy's the reason that Trudeau stayed in office. He's a leader party. What party is it? NDP? NPD? Whatever? NDP. He's the leader. He did a coalition with the Liberals so Trudeau could stay in power. He's terrible. He's a terrible guy. And then his suggestion is let's go to war. Let's go to this economic war place with the United States. This guy's filled with bad ideas. Terrible guy. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring you the whole spectrum of what's going on. I think America gets Greenland. I think that's going to happen. Canada, still up in the air because you got a bunch of leftists in there that are WEF. Like Klaus Schwab said, 2/3 of Trudeau's cabinet, WEF, young global leaders. So they're going to fight for it not to go. But I think Canada is in a much worse situation than it would care to reveal. And I think America is not in the best situation. And I think if they came together, it would be an incredible situation and it would make every other nation back down. They would have to. I think it would be a great decision. But I don't agree with Canada just being a state. It has a bunch of provinces. Give each province a choice to become a state. I bet you that you'll see at least 3 provinces consider it very heavily and probably jump over. That's just me. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.